live. Super excited to join this great session. Welcome everybody to this Agent Intelligence. We're exploring the future of AI agent in Web3. We're talking with a lot of like AI agent builder and thought leaders in the ecosystem. I'm Francesco. I'm contributing to MotherDAO. I'm also leading developer relation at Consensus. And today we are diving deep into the technology and the vision behind Near AI. And man, it's just a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much, Cameron, for joining. It's an honor to have you here. You want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, hey, it's good to be here. My name is Cameron Dennis. I've been building in crypto for about 8 years now or so, really focused on Near AI for the last about year and a half. And at Near AI, I primarily manage all external integrations, partnerships, and like solutions engineering and sort of like dev shop management. And so
Nice.
working on a lot of cool projects, happy to share some of them today. But ultimately, my
Yeah.
job is just to get certain strategic things done.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been pretty good.
Yeah, it's super cool to have you because you definitely like see the big picture, having like, a lot of like agent under the hood. You're seeing also the trends, and it's exciting also to ask you those questions. So speaking about Near AI specifically, building this kind of like, register like public registration agents, like what problems were you initially trying to solve with this kind of like Near AI at the beginning?
Yeah, so I mean, Near AI has actually been around for a very long time. Like Near started off as an AI company, like 7 years ago. And so when you say Near AI originally, there's like the initial vision, and that is primarily led by Alexander Skidinov. He's the co-founder of Near. And the whole point of why Near got built originally was to build um, essentially an LLM to do code generation, to write
Mhm.
formally verified software, to rewrite the entire internet. That's a really hard problem to solve. So
Mm,
that project is still going on, but this is like frontier research, and that primarily led by Alex. So we kind of leave that in a box. But right now, what Near AI is doing is building an agent network. So we
nice.
can actually have all these agents hosted in a verifiably private, free, important, and verifiable way. But the reason why we need all these agents is to build a high quality white labeled assistant. And this
Mhm.
AI assistant is what we think is going to drive really like adoption of crypto around the world, but also solve real problems for people that
Nice,
are like,
nice.
hey, let's book me a hotel. Let's like do all these like real world things and use crypto to settle transactions.
Nice.
Because right now agents should not, they can't go get a bank account. They cannot go get a debit card. So we do think that crypto and an easy on ramp is probably the best solution for facilitating agentic commerce.
Nice, nice. Run me through like a little bit the functionality or like let's say the core tech stack of this kind of like registry. Like is it something like fully kind of like open source? Is this kind of like agent to agent being built for also the agent builder to build already and have this kind of like service connection, or how does it look like?
Yeah, so it is multi-agent, and so you
Mhm.
can have an agent that can connect with other agents.
Yep.
All agents are written in either Python or TypeScript. We have SDKs that support both. And really, what this agent network is a series of H100s, H200s, and well, not quite B200s, but this hardware that specifically is from the NVIDIA
Mhm.
Blackwell series of GPUs that support TEEs. And
Nice.
so it's pretty much completely supported by TEs, or at least it will be in about a week. This is something that I work on
Nice.
that will enable the verifiable private transactions. And we think that that privacy piece is a prerequisite for any type of AI assistant to navigate with user data. Like it's an absolute prerequisite for me to upload all of my text messages, all of
Mhm.
my financial history, all this stuff. So I actually have an agent that knows me well enough that I can actually ask it to do real things in the real world. Because if you right now want to go ask your AI agent to go buy you a cup of coffee, you
Mm,
might get a cup of whole beans. You might get, a cold brew instead of warm coffee. Like you
yes.
really want to make sure that your agent knows a lot about you. And so this privacy piece is a prerequisite to mass adoption. And so we think
Nice.
that if we have all these agents hosted in this network, and by the way, this network supports other agent frameworks, which is why I'm excited to talk with you guys and work together.
Mhm.
is because at the end of the day, all these frameworks are going to exist. We are not really, trying to compete at the framework level. What we're
Yeah.
providing is one layer lower, saying,
Mhm.
hey, come and host your agents with us so they
Yeah.
can be made available through this assistant. And this
Yes.
assistant is what we're driving real world adoption for.
Yeah, I mean, I actually can see really the value here. Also, like the fact that I think at the end we need to also like build a like full kind of dedicated platform for AI agent consumer or future agent consumer to actually like trust the ecosystem, right? Because if I'm thinking about like DeFi Summer when everybody was forking indexes, at the end, like who were really like ragged were all kind of like those DEXs consumers that they couldn't actually like see which DEX were actually the true one, or at least running better transactions. And I think everything comes down to reputation, tooling that actually recognize the social graphs of those agents. And I think that's super interesting. But run me through. I think I had a sneak peek about on the registry. Like I know you're passionate about sharing screen and checking out what is happening.
Mhm.
Show me a little bit like what's this kind of like I think 700 plus agents is actually huge, and I would love to actually understand a little bit like what is this all about, and also like clarify to all our agent builders also how they can submit these kind of things, and we will share the links also in the main chat.
Yes, totally. So I will flag, not all of these agents are incredibly useful. A lot of them are forks. A lot of
Yeah.
them are like, side projects of people. But the idea here is we have this registry. There are like agents that can help launch meme coins for you. There that like generate like websites. Like that's this one right here. You can go and run it and like talk to it. See hey, and this is a live demo, so I like to create a meme coin uh, for like Mother DAO on Near, and then it will literally generate you the front end. It will create the assets, and then you just like press deploy, and it gets
Hmm.
created. And it does take a little bit because it's literally creating an asset on chain for you.
Hmm.
And we think that this is somewhat useful, but it is really about having people take these sort of so like now uh, mom is the token, it's creating you a
Hmm.
logo, it's
Hmm.
creating its upload the meme coin to meme.cooking, which is like the near equivalent of pump.fund. And yeah, sure, this website kind of sucks, but it did create a roadmap for you. It did create all these key features, and then from here you can go and improve it. So yeah, this is pretty much it in action. That's like
Hmm.
one of many agents, and really that agent is kind of targeting like crypto natives. And as much as I love crypto, I've been in this space for quite a while.
Hmm.
I do think that what is really going to drive long-term value for crypto
Hmm.
is building agents that interact with the real world and can go like shop for you, or can
It's
go,
interesting. Yeah.
create, help you manage uh, health nutrition diet
Hmm.
plan,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
help you manage your travel schedule, all this type of stuff.
Yeah.
And the exciting thing is let me see if this is the right one. Yes, so like this assistant that we're
Hmm.
creating is
Hmm.
intended to be forked and like white labeled. So
Hmm.
really our go to market for this assistant is getting it
Yeah.
adopted in existing near apps that have lots of users today. And so this has always been the mission of Near is first we
Hmm.
need to build a protocol that can actually scale. What we
Hmm.
don't want to happen is have another CryptoKitties moment. I don't know if you were
Of
around at
course.
that time, but like transaction fees spike, it just like
Oh
the whole thing
yeah,
becomes unusable.
it's
Like we
crazy.
can't have that if we're trying to build the open web. We
Mhm.
cannot have these like limitations. And so this has been the goal since the very beginning is like build the protocol that can facilitate the demand. This is like after the initial vision of Near, which is the code generation.
Mhm.
But then we also realized, holy crap, this industry is incredibly fragmented. We need to solve essentially multi-chain interactions
Mhm.
where users don't have to care what blockchain they're using. And so that's why for a long time, Near's been heavily focused on chain abstraction. Chain abstraction is all powered through this network called Chain Signatures.
Mhm.
And I'm happy to send you some of the stuff. But what this is, it's a programmable multi-party computation network
Mhm.
where you're able to manage accounts across any blockchain with a
Mhm.
Near account that
Mhm.
supports ECDSA signatures, which is pretty much what powers Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Ethereum, everything besides like Solana and Ton. And so this is really cool. I think this is an entire like field of research that we can talk about. But why do we want this piece? Is because we see this as a prerequisite for agents to interact across any chain. Because
Agreed.
agents
Agreed.
aren't going to care what network they
Yeah.
deploy to. They just want to go where
And
users and liquidity are.
100%. And Cameron, are you also taking care of the kind of like the standard frameworks where need to speak to agents, like this kind of like specs versus standards? I assume those standards need to happen somehow, and it's actually a great angle as a near AI and registry to actually like handle those frameworks and standardization so that a agent builder know actually how to build.
Yes. So there's another entire piece here called AITP, the AI Transfer
Yep.
Protocol.
Yep.
And the whole point is to facilitate communication securely across agents that are built on different frameworks and to use different payment methods. And so this is AITP. I'm happy to drop the link here, aitp.dev. This is 100% open source. It's intended for everyone to add to their network. And then the other piece, which I'm literally drafting right now, is a Twitter thread explaining the near MCP integration, which is pretty much allowing anyone that's using tools that support MCP to interact with Near, create wallets, sign transactions, all this other stuff. And so
Nice.
between these
Nice.
two kind of standards, we do think that this could enable agent commerce across any network, across any framework, across any chain, app, whatever.
Nice, nice. Actually, that's very cool because you're also providing guidelines to agent developers. I'm also curious to understand like what is your kind of like feedbacks that you have to agent builders, kind of like what are the lessons learned that you see? Kind of like, do you see some kind of like kind of fuck ups at the beginning? Like you should actually think about your main agent. Don't think about the framework. Don't be limited to a specific programming language because I see a bunch of AI agent builders coming from also the Web2 space. They're one of our focus on Python specifically. But I wonder, like, what are the lessons learned that even you encountered building building this, right?
Totally. So it's going to be kind of a boring answer that is like very traditional, like startup advice.
Mhm.
But like when you're building an agent, you're building a business. And if you're building a business, you need to get clear on what your customer wants. And you got to get clear on how you define success. What I don't see happen a lot in agent development, especially in crypto related agent development, is people aren't even thinking about a benchmark of success. So like you have to consider benchmarks and some sort of evaluation framework to measure the utility and usefulness of your agent, because that usefulness and utility is ultimately what's going to drive revenue for
Mhm.
you. And if you're building an agent, yeah, like do your market research with customers, like treat it like a startup. And what I see happen all too often is people ship these agents, don't consider distribution, don't consider like the problem that they're truly solving, and everything just kind of falls flat. So yeah, treat an agent or a network of agents as a startup and like care about very clear success metrics. And there's like really great historic like just startup-y things like the business model canvas, which is like a framework that helps founders consider like what is the value that you're truly providing your users, and like get really clear on why people want, like who's the key partner, what are they actually doing, like what is the value proposition, like what are your growth channels. These are the things that I see missing from a lot of agent builders, is this like business sense.
It actually makes sense. I think generally, like uh, problem market fit for a lot of Web3 founders, people are so over focused on also delivering like a specific like technology or product. They are missing actually the distribution side. And I feel like it's very cool to see like this all these vibe coding kind of movements because people can actually stretch the zero to MVP time so that they can actually focus on distribution and problem market fit as early as possible. Is this something that you see also, or you feel like I don't know, you see kind of like 100% end of written code in those agents?
Yeah, so vibe coding is definitely a growing thing. what excites me a lot is the people with the subject matter expertise that is required to figure out what about an organization needs an AI agent and needs automation. Those people who understand those problems have an easier time building solutions for them. And this is where I think the real convergence is going to happen is when people who understand the issues can easily create solutions to those issues and don't really require a ton of technical expertise to do so. But I would say we're still not 100% there yet. Like all this vibe coding stuff is great, but you kind of need a background in coding and software engineering to like build something production ready. Like I've seen a few things on Twitter recently and talked to a bunch of devs that are like, yeah, I built an MVP, but it's not really the code I need to take this to like 10,000 users, 100,000 users,
Yeah.
like there's still security issues and stuff like that. And so I don't think we're fully there yet for these like subject matter experts that understand a very niche problem in supply chain management that they can build an agent for. Like they still can't do it completely today to build like a production ready like app, but they can create an MVP, prove some sort of utility, maybe raise some money, and then
Hmm.
build the whole thing.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I actually agree with that. And I think also like what you guys are helping is also on the distribution side, right? Having kind
Yeah,
of like a dedicated kind of like full agent list is also helping agent consumer, but also agent builders because then they know what services and what agent they can interact with.
that part we haven't fully solved yet, to be
Hmm.
totally honest. I don't, and when you like, we talked a little bit briefly about like the opportunities that exist in this industry.
Yeah.
Whoever cracks agent discovery is going to be a billionaire. Like
Mm-hmm.
whoever truly figures this out is going to make a ton of money because this is what Google did. This is what PageRank ultimately is you're recommending sites for people to click and people are willing to pay you to
Mm.
rank higher on SEO
Yes.
or like, on this Google ranking.
Mm.
So this to me is like whoever cracks agent discovery, well, will win
Yes. What are
or
the
get acquired
options?
by Google.
Yeah, that's actually is a good point. But what do you think are the option on the discovery side? Like how the agent consumer will discover agents? What are the options like? Are we going through like LLMs? Are we going through like Google search engine? Are we going through, I don't know, YouTube search engine? I don't know. I'm just thinking
Yeah.
about what are the discoverability funnel or option that are out there. Because if we're discovering agent through like a closed source LLM, well, I don't know if we're actually solving the problem of having a full decentralized AI system.
Correct. The discovery mechanism, people are taking different approaches. So,
Mhm.
like when you're trying to discover an app on Apple, like the iPhone store, App Store, um, like Apple helps mitigate security risks for Apple users by having to go through some approval process. So, like there's already some discovery happening there, which I think is critical for certain agent deployments. But I'm looking at it like, how do we automate the security checks more effectively? And so we actually delivered a request for proposals. This is technically closed. I already have a lot of great candidates for this to essentially build the initial security, an agent that audits the security of other agents that's hosted on the hub. And so at least the user knows they're interacting with agents that are not going to, steal their like, download malware on their computer or something pretty bad. And so first step to me is security, similar to what Apple does. But I want to automate it so we can have a bit more of a permissionless agent, discovery environment. But then the next piece is probably going to be reputation. And the reputation piece is primarily driven by usage. And like that's what happens in Apple as well. Like the apps that actually get downloads are the ones that pop up higher on the App Store, like app of the
Mhm.
week or whatever it is. And so I think it's like you need sort of different discovery uh, practices for different phases of an agent. In a perfect world, the
Mhm.
best metric of demand is, are people paying for your thing? So if
Yes.
people are paying for it, then like that should be ranking higher.
Yes.
But we don't have enough useful agents yet to really warrant that.
Yes. Actually, good point. Like, but also like we need to think about how success for agents will look like. Obviously, it's value to humans, could be also value to other agents. what do you think will be those success metrics look like? Because I don't think like we can actually trust a TVL agent out there. Like, well, how we can play with those metrics? Are those some even metrics uh, easy to perform in order to define success of an agent?
Yeah. It's a really hard problem to solve because every agent is specific to a use case.
Mhm.
So this is why I'm saying you kind of need those subject matter experts who are familiar with the use cases to define some sort of benchmark saying, hey, this agent is useful because it is saving these customers time, or it is doing this thing faster than a human is doing it, or we need to have that initial benchmark. And that benchmark is normally established by the subject matter expert who's used to doing that thing. Because again, these agents are very use case specific. And so this is kind of where it's hard. So I'm testing, I'm exploring. So I ran a hackathon this weekend in San Francisco for
Exciting.
people to create benchmarks for agents that they've either already built to prove their usefulness. Like, how are you going to measure usefulness? You need to have a benchmark. And so this is where I'd say, like, if you're an agent builder, like, start with a benchmark. Like, what are you actually trying to improve? And then from there, that's how you sell it. Saying, hey, we're able to, decrease the time it takes to launch a meme coin from 5 minutes to 30 seconds. And this is useful because da, 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 da. Like going back to the value add and like value props.
That's actually very cool. And actually, it's very interesting what you're doing here. Is this hackathon specific with also Electric Capital? And okay, so we spoke about also like agent to agent kind of coordination. Also the fact that you are pulling things together. You also like helping the distribution side. Agent discovery is extremely important. Um, what I mean, I think like I ask almost everything. I also like the metrics and kind of like tooling. Obviously, I think I'm a big believer that we will have verticalized agents versus kind of like super agents. What is your
Yep.
opinion on that? Like, we need to fine tune, agents based on data. I feel it's natural that we are basically will have a verticalized agent winning with a truly agent to agent coordination, or what's your thought?
Yeah, it's a great question. I do think the first version of AGI is a powerful LLM, ideally
Mhm.
open source, like an R1, that is really the foundation for agents to then call and interact. But you need all those use case specific agents in order to actually provide real value. I mean, R1 itself does provide a lot of value, but it's not really actioning on behalf of users. It's more like summarizing and processing, like reasoning. But I would say that we absolutely need more useful agents deployed to things like the Near AI Hub. But the problem is the benchmarks. People need to
Mm,
we need to attract the subject matter experts to build these agents or at least be a part of the building
yes,
process.
yes, makes
Um,
sense. And question,
so yeah,
Cameron. I know we are almost at time, and I literally bombard you with questions. I know you need to
that's okay.
back to work.
Yeah.
What, like, obviously we are very early. This is, it's not a sprint; it's a full marathon, especially on the building side, the distribution side. I mean, I'm already seeing some traction from like for social agents and maybe DeFi agents. But what are kind of like the other vertical or very specific use case that you see winning right now? And if there are none, what do you think are the low-hanging agents that you want to see a agent builder build right now that people are hearing us?
I have a whole doc. I'm
Oh,
gonna
nice, like a wish
create,
list.
yeah, yes. We will add more agents to the request for proposal. So like the way that
Mhm,
we're gonna go about this is like, hey, here are the agents that we like to see built. Um, Here's a process to apply to get paid to build
mhm,
them.
mhm,
And then in this process, you absolutely need high quality like benchmarks and eval frameworks, like absolute prerequisite. And so what I'd like to see is like legal services. And the reason why we started with all the privacy
mhm,
pieces, like no lawyer wants to throw or is allowed to throw like sensitive case information, like let's say there's a
mhm,
domestic abuse issue, like they cannot
mhm,
take that very sensitive information and just
mhm. Of
throw it into OpenAI. Like that's a
course.
concern. Like
Yeah.
so we needed to start with the privacy piece. We think that
Mhm,
this is the first infrastructure to build useful agents. And so because the other thing also is like people who are building real companies don't want to open source everything right away. So like they need a verifiable, like you need to be able to verify that the agent that you think you're using is the agent that you are actually using. And so that can all be done through this like TEE hosting. So the first point
Mm. Mhm.
is build the infrastructure, get useful agents built,
Mhm.
build assistants that can help drive demand of those useful
Mhm.
agents,
Mhm.
and then add payment rails. So can be an actual sustainable business for everyone involved. Because like
Yeah,
if
yeah.
your agent you built gets real demand and gets revenue, everyone
Mhm.
should be paid.
Yes, I already see that as kind of like a next level, because we will, as humans, we will deploy capital to agent treasuries, because those agents will actually manage a full treasury, pay for services to other agents, to other people. So there is actually a lot of like uh, could be revenue share, could be owning a specific like treasury, especially on DeFi side, and then also on socials. But there is so much stuff happening on the social coordination side. Think about uh, even like the DAO coordination and DAO ops. Like, the reason I think why DAO are struggling in terms of like decision power, voting processes. I think like that will actually play a big role, and that's just for uh, social DAO coordination and DeFi agent, DeFi vertical. There is so many more verticals that you see people are logging on. Okay, let me share back. There you are.
Sorry, yeah. We have been trying to build a decentralized government to
Mhm.
govern the near ecosystem
Mhm.
for a little while now.
Mhm.
It's really, really hard. We ran an election. This is V2. So we're
Mhm.
starting V2. It's called House of Stake. The first version was called Near Digital Collective. And the whole point is to eventually decentralize the Near Foundation and put governance power of the ecosystem into the hands of the
Mhm.
community. And we are actively building agents to support governance decision making, because at the end of the
Mhm.
day, no one loves to read, you know, giant proposals of what people want to do. So we do think that like agents can really help address efficiency of decision making and bias ultimately.
Oh
Because
yeah.
like if I read a proposal that's in Chinese or Russian and I don't speak Chinese or Russian, I'm going to inherently struggle trusting it. And this is just a human thing. And
I
so
agree.
this is where we can use agents. I mean, translation is a basic one, but like interpretation, even through translation, things get mixed up. Like someone sent me a copy paste message from someone that wrote in Russian to English, and it sounded like they were very demanding and like not nice. So I already
Mhm.
had a negative sentiment towards that post. So like,
Mhm.
how can we use agents to interpret like intent? Um, this is very important for large scale decision making, and we are
Yeah.
actively experimenting with this through the House of
This is
Stake.
very nice. This is very nice. Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah. I mean, Camero, thanks so much. Thanks again. I'm literally trying to get you spicy question as soon as possible, but I think in this kind of like 28 minutes, we kind of like deep dive on different specific topics. We definitely need a part two. I definitely want to see also how this, registry will actually like evolve. How you're doing with the specific like kind of hackathon outputs. We definitely need to invite those possible future winners to
Yeah,
actually show their agent. I think that will be a great start. Also, like to push more agent builder on also on the near side. And you guys have been kind of like OG. Oh, let me share you again.
yeah. I'm sorry.
This
I
is
like
good.
I
This
like
is
sharing.
good.
So this is like the agent that won the hackathon over the weekend. It
Nice.
manages entire LinkedIn campaigns for you. I don't know about you. I
Wow.
hate posting on LinkedIn. It's
Same.
a
Yeah.
flippin' nightmare, and
Yes.
I want to automate this. And so there's a few like really important pieces of this puzzle to make it private and secure and everything else, and like actually sound like you. Um, but yeah, this is like to me something that I will start using like tangibly. Like this is useful because
I will
solves
go
a
now
problem
and
for me.
check it out, because right now cross posting between social, especially on LinkedIn, tagging the right people, tagging. I wish there was an agent that take the same tags in Twitter, search automatically on LinkedIn and post it and mirror or something. I feel like all the social medias kind of like scheduling are so kind of like still web 2-ish, and yeah, so that's super exciting what you're sharing here.
So
I'll
what
be
I
curious on
want,
that
and
one.
so I love that idea. What I want is in an onboarding process of an employee of a company,
Yeah.
like employee-led marketing is really good. But a lot of people are like busy with their job where they don't post on LinkedIn and do this type of stuff. So anytime that there's like a company announcement,
Mhm.
people already have this set up, like an agent set up to cross post to LinkedIn. Like
Mhm.
they don't need to write everything. It's essentially how do we
Mhm.
increase employee-led marketing?
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
people's voices scale better on social media than
100%.
companies.
Yeah,
So
100%.
I think
It's,
that like
yeah.
this is going to be big. If like this, if it truly works, the growth potential is large.
100%, 100%. No, sounds good. I mean, by the way, like I think I definitely agree that we should need to have more employee advocacy around, especially like features and technical products and distribution sentiment, because the Francesco out there, I think, trust definitely like like single person and the reputation ecosystem. The reputation system is also like still trust to trust, even in an agent kind of like ecosystem. I will not maybe trust directly the agent. I will trust the builders of the agent much more.
Yes.
So I will trust directly the agent. And I think that's why we need social graphs. That's why we need, public attestation and with kind of like a fully reputation system, future agent consumer will be actually like knowing what the fuck is like actually going on and which agency is the right one could like to trust more based on success, based on OGness, based on different kind of value that you're providing to them, right? So I think that's the first big things that we should kind of accomplish, and probably also on the framework side. But I mean, there is tons of frameworks, especially on fine-tuned on programming languages. So I'm not really like. I don't see a big gap out there. I see mostly the distribution and kind of defending the right to agent consumer to get the right agents and test them out because I think we have one main try. And then people after one that will kind of lose I would say faith on the agent usability, and then it will go away. That's why I think it's also our responsibility to make sure that they are getting the top agent for that category that they're looking for, and not the fork of the fork of the fork. Awesome, awesome,
Correct.
awesome.
It's
No,
hard,
sounds good.
but we'll do it. It's like
Yes,
it's
yes,
going to take
yes,
some time.
yes. No, sounds good. Sounds good. I mean, thanks so much again, Cameron. It's a pleasure to have you here in the show. I think we kind of clarified everything. We definitely need a part two. Thanks so much also for your time, and thanks everyone also like to interacting, getting those links, checking the things out. We'll definitely like kind of like rebuild this interview, scripted out, kind of like showing you and how do you say granulating it to get the best kind of like content out there and providing value to those A agent consumers and builder out there. Okay, sounds good. Thanks so much, Cameron. And
Awesome.
yeah, it was a pleasure to be here. And thanks all for today A agent kind of like intelligence. Cameron, thank you so much for everyone also watching. Model officially launched. There is a bunch of things. If you're building agent, if you're building cool stuff, make sure like you're gonna just show and send the link in the show your agent channel, and happy to have anybody here that want to show cool use case to present here to all the other agent builders. We need more builders, and we definitely need to bring more awareness on how cool are those use case. And again, thanks so much also Cameron. I think with Near AI, you guys are bringing standards and frameworks to the ecosystem, and I think we definitely need this for getting a more transparent ecosystem. Awesome. Thanks so much, everyone. Thanks so much, Cameron. I see you
Yep.
like at ECC or something else. Awesome. Cheers.
I'll see you around. Yeah, for sure.